Dear students, let us continue our discussion with the bioavailability protocol. So the next factor that is to be considered in selecting an appropriate experimental design or bioavailability study design is sampling. Okay, various aspects of sampling. The biological sample that is to be used in the study has to be decided before the commencement of the bioavailability study. If the viability study of a given dosage form is to be evaluated, if the bioavailability of a given dosage form is to be evaluated by a blood level study, some estimate of AUC, serum concentration, or Cmax and Tmax must be obtained from the study. I repeat once again. If the bioavailability of a given dosage form is to be evaluated by a blood level study, some estimate of AUC, Cmax, and Tmax must be obtained from the study. Therefore, the frequency of sampling and duration of sampling are very important, since these factors can markedly influence the apparent results obtained in a given study. While blood sampling schedule required to evaluate bioavailability will vary with the drug, it is possible to list a few factors that will ensure a satisfactory determination of blood level profile. Okay, means before starting this study, we should know what type of method of assessment of bioavailability we should use, and we should also make ready the, suppose if we use a blood level study, we should keep ready, we should make ready the blood sampling schedule also, and we should know various factors affecting this and the appearance of drug in the blood, as well as its sampling. And finally, you should get the correct estimates of Cmax, Tmax, and AUC to calculate the bioavailability from the data obtained from the study. The sampling scheme should be frequent enough to define the absorption phase, the peak, and the elimination phase during a during a drug's time course in the body. In order to estimate the rate of absorption, it is necessary to have enough data points in the absorption phase, and hence the frequency of sampling should be more in this phase. Even though the frequency of collection of samples is monitored, it may not be possible to get the time of peak plasma concentration directly from the data, and is generally estimated from the data. Since the relative amount of the drug absorbed is determined from the AUC parameter, there must be sufficient sampling point to allow for proper evaluation of AUC, and the absorption rate, volume of distribution, and elimination rate all influences the apparent drug concentration one obtains in a given sample. Therefore, it is necessary to see that all these factors influence each dosage form equally. To estimate AUC from the data, sampling has to be carried out till the concentration of drug reaches the elimination phase. For first order process, the time necessary for a complete elimination would be infinity. However, for all practical purposes, it is a period of 10 half lives for any given drug. And a rule of thumb of sampling in a blood level study is to sample for 3 to 5 half lives of the drug. If the half life is not known, sampling should proceed until 1 by 10th or 1 by 20th of the peak levels are reached in the blood. So this is the case with the sampling in blood level studies. Nothing but sampling should be done till the linear phase of till the linear part of the elimination phase reaches. If at least for a period of 10 half lives, for all practical purposes, or if half life is unknown, till a time point where the blood level falls down to 1 by 10th or 1 by 20th of the peak level of the drug in the blood, and the sampling should be frequent enough that we'll get all the phases: absorption, distribution, and elimination phases appropriately, showing showing their parameters, showing their parameters equal effect on various dosage forms administered into the body during different treatment periods, so that finally we will get the appropriate estimates of Cmax, Tmax, and AUC to calculate the bioavailability correctly. So this is about blood level studies. Whereas in case of urinary excretion studies, the same principles will apply. Generally, urinary excretion studies are used when it is either not possible to measure a given drug in the blood, plasma, or serum, or when ethical considerations do not allow the collection of samples over a period of time. The advantages of urinary excretion studies are that it is a non-invasive study. Nothing but it is a study in which sampling is non-invasive in nature, and concentration of drug in in the urine is often greater than that in blood or serum, allowing one to easy to easy to estimate the drug, and the amount of drug excreted in the urine can be directly obtained. So these are the advantages. But in case of blood level study, the amount of drug in the body is estimated using pharmacokinetic parameters, which cannot be done using urinary excretion studies. Apart from this, urinary excretion method has several disadvantages. Like urinary excretion studies are not useful for estimating the absorption rate of a rapidly absorbing drug. This is because it is difficult to obtain many samples during the absorption phase to define the absorption rate accurately. Subjects feel difficulty in emptying the urinary bladder frequently, and it leads to a carryover effect on the next sample. And in some cases, the metabolites of the drug are also concentrated in the sample that interferes with the estimation of the unchanged drug in the urine sample. However, in order to obtain useful data, it is necessary to plan the frequency and duration of sampling carefully. If possible, urine samples should be collected for a 10 half life for a period of 10 half lives of the drug to ensure 99.9% of elimination of the drug in urine. If elimination half life is not known, a plot of cumulative amount of drug excreted versus time will reach a plateau at some point in time consistent with the complete elimination of the drug. Nothing but if half life is not known, you have to carry out the urinary excretion study, or you have to collect the urinary samples until a plateau is reached when a graph is drawn by taking a rate of urinary excretion versus midpoint of urine collection time. Okay, so this is about the about various aspects to be remembered and followed for sampling in the bioavailability study. And coming to the selection of subjects, so which type of subjects to be selected, whether healthy subjects or patients who are more appropriate. Bioavailability studies are designed to find out the dosage form's biological performance. Hence, it is necessary to minimize all possible variations if it is not possible to eliminate them. Use of healthy volunteers avoids much of the variations that are possible with the patients. I think but by selecting healthy volunteers, we can reduce the number of variations. Selecting patients increases the number of variations. Okay, but we should remember that the way of the conditions of administration of drug to the healthy subject should mimic as much as possible with that of the patients. Due to the variables associated with most disease states, it is almost impossible to design a meaningful bioequivalence test. Okay, and let us discuss some specific problems associated with the use of patients in the bioavailability study. First one is it is difficult to obtain many patients in a given place, and the severity of the disease varies from one patient to the another patient. Ethical considerations will not allow withdrawal of many blood samples from the patients for a long period of time, for a long, and it is not ethical to administer a dosage form to a patient whose therapeutic efficacy is not known. And finally, since treatments of a given disease involves use of several drugs simultaneously, the effect of these drugs on the bioavailability of a drug under test should be known before the interpretation of the bioavailability test results. Many drugs may be used in treating a disease. Okay, if we select the patient, there may be effect of the there may be effect from other there may be effect from other drugs on the bioavailability of the drug under study. Okay, this should be known before the actual interpretation of the results, bioavailability study results. So because of all these reasons, normal subjects are preferred over for bioavailability studies over patients. Okay, now let us discuss the other aspects of subject selection for bioavailability study in our next video. Thank you.